Well, good morning, and once again, a very happy new year. I'd love to tell you that I've kind of driven 1,000 miles and crossed crazy landscapes to get to this morning's shoot, but actually it's about a 2-minute drive from my front door. New Year's Day yesterday, and as is customary in these parts, and in a lot of parts in the UK actually, park run. And we do park run here in Portrush along East Strand Beach up to White Rocks Beach. And running yesterday, the conditions were stunning. Nice conditions to run in, but from a photography point of view, they were just beautiful. There was such soft, almost Hebridean light going on. Now I've shot here at White Rocks, which is about 1.5 miles walk up the beach. I've shot there a number of times, and you get some lovely patterns, some lovely kind of formations, and of course you've got the Skerries just out on the horizon, little clump of land, which obviously can sometimes make for some nice depth in an image. I haven't shot too much though down here. It gets quite busy with dog walkers, and once it gets busy with dog walkers, footprints and things like that. However, yesterday while I was running up, what I noticed was there were a lot of little tidal pools being formed in some beautiful colours, some beautiful patterns. So what I really want is that low tide to reveal a number of those tidal pools. Whether or not we get an image, you know what, as I've always said, it's just so nice to get out with a camera, and especially somewhere local, because of course you can, repeat and come out and see what you can get. So we're still a good hour away from sunrise, but I'm going to use this time just to stick on the bag and just take a dander up the beach and seize what we can seize. Welcome to East Strand Beach / White Rocks Beach. Let's go explore. So this is just beautiful. Not sure how well you're going to be able to see me. Obviously it's still quite dark. This is what I love about just getting out there. I mean, the conditions this morning are absolutely gorgeous. We've got it's crisp, but it's not too cold, although I do need better gloves. The tide is starting to go out, so hopefully we will start to get some of those little tidal pools, but this blue hour light is stunning, and we're already sort of starting to pick up some reflections. In fact, if you really were into it, you've got the sort of town reflections in there as well. Just starting to pick out some detail, and of course the great thing about the strand line is that creates a lovely sort of flow, sort of a very jagged flow all the way through into the image. So it's beautiful, and I can start to see some patterns forming just as that tide's flowing out. So gorgeous. And of course you've got all the shorebirds as well, loads of different gulls. You've got the oyster catchers, and pretty much at the moment got the whole place to myself. Not too shabby. Just the little patterns that can get created just as that tide's going out, and there's a lovely, no, it's not really going to work because there was also a very friendly dog which is kind of footprints through the sand, but I just love how you come down on the stretch of beach, and I think you could shoot the same stretch of beach pretty much every day and get a different composition every day, just because of how it changes, and just all those little patterns are gorgeous. Now, one of the challenges that probably going to be faced with this morning is just that lack of cloud in the right above me, but hey, no pressure, just a lovely dander out. Tide now probably about an hour or so from low tide, hour and a half, maybe hour and 15 minutes. So I'm hoping that I'm going to start seeing some of those little tidal pools that I saw yesterday, and some of those patterns. At the moment, not really, but hey ho. So I'm just making use of that strand line again, as I said. And actually there's a dog walker with said friendly dog. Now we're getting about, with the ambient light, we're getting about a 3-second exposure. So obviously with a person in the frame, if they were moving horizontal across the frame, they would be either very blurred or they might actually disappear altogether depending on what my exposure was. But because they're walking towards me, sure, they're not sharp, sharp, sharp because they are moving, but because they're staying in one sort of line, they're actually creating just a nice little story there. Obviously, you know, just a wee dog walk out. So yeah. And again, just making use of that strand line, those ziggy-zaggy lines. Ooh, now then. That might work. Yeah. What I love about it actually is there's still just a hint of pink, both in the sky and in the reflection. Let's see whether we can get something set up here. Wow, rather beautiful. I think we had about 2 or 3 minutes of really, really, really nice soft pink light. That seems to have dissipated now, so. And there's definitely, I mean, I can't obviously see the horizon up here, but I would say that we have some pretty thick clouds on the horizon, which is unfortunate. So that pink glow is kind of coming and going. So again, this is what I'm looking for, these little sort of ripples, because once that tide goes out a bit more, then rather than it simply being a flat landscape in front of you, you have got those ripples. And some of them will get filled with water, some of the water will sort of be around the edges, and some of it will just be damp from the residual water. And we're starting to get some more cloud in the sky, which is nice. And of course, with the lovely reflections here as well, just looking around me with those clouds in the sky, you start to get some nice interest both above and below. So there's hope yet. So we're getting little pockets of kind of pink light, more so behind me here. Now, again, I've come across some of those lovely patterns. One of the difficulties that I'm kind of faced with here is when I go into a horizontal composition that allows me to capture all of the skerries. I'm on the 18-135. I'm not getting those lovely patterns in the foreground. When I go into a vertical composition, I can't get all of the skerries in, and I don't like how the skerries, the islands just kind of stop right up the edge of the frame. So I've kind of been working on a little bit of a sort of scene here. Again, those lines, and I actually love how they're curved. Something about curves I just love. Some light kind of coming up in there now. So, and above these clouds behind me, there's obviously more clear sky. So I'm kind of lining up the frame that I'm kind of just clipping the top of those clouds, because that's where the pink is, not containing too much of that clear sky. And then obviously, while I haven't got the whole of the skerries in, I've got most of the island in, and there is actually a gap on either side, so it gives it room to breathe. But yeah, we're just starting to get some of that. The sun has now risen, and we're starting to get some of that lovely light in those sort of thick textured clouds. So, and again, I've seen, I think, 4 people this morning so far. Oh, beautiful. Some really gorgeous reflections. And this is one of those little sort of tidally pool things that gives you some of those lovely textures in the sand. Those textures in the sand. But again, the colours are just, they're coming and going. But yeah, some of the reflections this morning have been absolutely gorgeous. So let's take a moment to talk about clouds. Well, clouds can be so important in your image in probably 3 different forms. I'm trying to talk here, birds. I think they can be a silent partner. That is, you don't include them in your frame, but they are helping to enhance the image, either by diffusing the light or directing the light, maybe with some rays of light. They can be the main subject, you know, those fiery dawns or those fiery autumn sunsets and winter sunsets. Or, in potentially the case this morning, if I could find something, a supporting actor. Now, as I've been mentioning, I'm looking for these patterns in the sand, and actually with slightly gone down the beach a little bit, but there was some lovely ripples in the sand, and I looked up and I happened to notice, now it's gone now, but I happened to notice that you were getting those ripples in the sky as well with some of the cloud formations. So while they weren't necessarily the focus point in the image, that was still going to be the lovely textures in the sand and the little scary islands out on the horizon. They were creating a really lovely support act for the image. Sadly the light wasn't great, and by the time the light came good, unfortunately those clouds had dissipated, but I think it's good to think about clouds like that, say a silent partner, a supporting act, or the key lead role in your image. So I'm actually making my way back down the beach again in the hope that there's going to be some of those little tidal pools have kind of revealed themselves, and also as that sun comes up a little, so you're not going to be able to make this out on the GoPro, but it's kind of behind Portrush, way in the distance are the Donegal Hills. Oh, the light on those is just a little bit nice. Oh, sorry, light easily distracts me. Where was I? Oh yeah, speaking of light. So actually, as that sun comes up, there is a chance, maybe if there's a gap in the clouds, that there might actually be a little bit of light on the Skerries. Who knows? But we're wandering now back down the beach, see whether any other compositions and little scenes have revealed themselves. So I'm not sure I've seen the light change so often in such a short period of time. You know, we've gone obviously from the blue hour to then we had kind of just a little hint of pink. Then we went kind of into a very silvery, sort of almost back into blue hour again, but a very sort of silvery sort of feel to everything. And then we had some lovely sort of soft pinks. And then it almost seemed like the sunrise was almost, the sunrise colour was over, and we're starting to almost go into that sort of goldeny colour. And now we've gone back into just such beautiful, beautiful, soft pastel pink. I think there might even be some snow out on the horizon. That looks to me like kind of snow. But yeah, it's beautiful. And again, those pinks have now kind of dissipated again. Wow. Beautiful. I think I've said that quite a lot in this video, but it is. Alright guys, so I think I'm going to call it a vlog right there. I'm probably going to carry on shooting for a little bit longer, but just I think the vlog is getting a little bit too long, so time to call it. Not a bad start to the year, but as always, irrespective of the final image, just great to be out in the great outdoors. Good for the soul. So until next time, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.